Okay, so the after party, we're talking about anonymous letters. Uh, the latest one now coming out from the Guam National Guard. And I think this one has been brewing for a while because, since Adjutant General Esther Agagi was appointed, we've been getting a lot of tips, and it's hard to sort through. And this is where I have an issue. Like, if someone wants to give you a tip and remain anonymous and not write a letter, then as a media person, it's on us to go and verify the, check is it credible, find the information. So that's one thing. And there was just always this, there's almost an avalanche of people in the Guard, people who had connections to the Guard, reaching out to the media and just saying a lot of things that, because the military is a real closed organization, we have a hard time vetting anything or, finding out things that they, I don't even have an ID card. I can't go on base. And so we'd always get these tips about what was going on in the Guard. But like I tell these people, hey, unless you want to stick your face in front of the camera, then there's nothing we can really do. And then, so now things have definitely changed because we have these anonymous letters. And I think the people in the Guard kind of stuck their finger in the wind and maybe said, hey, so if GVB and this DOC, maybe this is the way that we can kind of get our concern. Aaron, and this is why I really think that the letter from people being in the military, like I said, a closed organization. There's not a lot of transparency, not a lot of scrutiny. And so maybe this was just a way that for them to kind of run their concerns up the flagpole.
Yeah, I think in this instance, I'm not going to say that any one organization is more professional than the other. But when you have uniformed service, where it's service to the Guam National Guard, service to country, this one's a little bit more concerning to me.
Right.
And what's concerning to me is it seems that in this instance, you had a carryover of former management. The former general was held over. He was touted as an agent of change, as one of the individuals that would continue service. Now, from everything I understand, I served with him. I don't know the gentleman that well, but I do know he was well respected within the ranks.
Yep.
And I do know that came somewhat as a surprise to him when there was a management change.
There was a lot of stuff that I don't want you to just gloss over everything, but there was a transition report that came out.
Right.
And this report basically used an anonymous survey. So we're really sticking with the theme of anonymous here. And they had aired concerns from people who didn't have to give their name or anything. And they said, oh, there's sexual harassment. There's just all kinds of things going on at the Guard.
But it's kind of interesting, Gert, because like you said, these were anonymous complaints, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay, these were concerns that were brought up anonymously, but were taken serious.
Right.
And now we're going to turn around and we're going to say that because of its anonymity, because it was from anonymous, we don't know whether we should, give credence to it.
Yeah, and General Leon didn't really have much of his day in court with regard to that.
Yeah.
I mean, what I thought when General Leon Guerrero broke his silence and released that, remember he had come out with a letter and said, hey, man, I'm getting dragged through the mud. He gave his 2 cents. I thought that was really telling for a guy like him, because these guys, they don't want to, because they respect the organization. You know what I mean? They respect the military. They don't want to come and take a big dump on the military because they know it affects morale. But for it to reach that point where they have to say something, I think that's interesting.
Well, there were problems in the beginning. And so we know that there was that controversy regarding the pay raise.
Right.
And then,
that was just crazy.
There was a lot of morale issues because of the manner. First, they were going to keep General Leon Guerrero.
Right.
And then there was a change immediately. I mean, it was a big surprise to everyone.
Right.
And so this is really just a carryover from that. And I think what really happened here was that when DOC was successful in getting their issues addressed through the anonymous letter, then they're just, but I expect more from the Guard. Because in the military, you go by the rules and regulations, and you're perceived to be courageous.
Right. But the thing about that is that this letter says that those rules and regulations that they're supposed to go through are compromised by
Well, then they
people
should.
that
They have a process.
Yeah.
If we have it in Guam,
Sure.
and if, for a grievance, then they should.
I usually agree with you, but I
Yeah,
think
well,
tonight I just got to disagree because I feel like again
National
when
Guard, they're guarding us.
when-
They
when
should
we-
have enough courage to
Right.
just come up front.
I see.
Well,
Yeah.
so
I mean,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, but again, in the letter, the allegations that were made was that the general, the adjutant general, had hired two, officers to be her chief of staff, and there's one other position that's second to him, and these officers came from off island. So I don't know. Maybe some of it is like, oh God, you hired some people from off island, but then that goes back to her promotion, and what we've heard is that she passed over several more qualified candidates, and I think that's kind of also something that has
Well,
never
that's the morale
it's
issue.
never been
That's
let go.
it. Right.
Right.
But they didn't. Did anyone lose any pay as a result of her decision making?
No, but what we do have is we have people who feel like the merit system and the way
Okay.
people are promoted is being abused. And, not my words, but people are saying it's just because the governor, the Futures Familon, and she wanted a woman to head the guard, which, I mean, she's within her rights to do that. But I think the military has rules and regulations that not only for themselves, but with what, governors can do to promote people. And so,
So,
That's
Chris,
all right.
just my final analysis of this is you had an undercurrent from the beginning
right.
that the decision to change General Leon Guerrero emerged from a memo, an anonymous source.
Now let me go back and
Which
say that
didn't look good to
these
begin
people
with.
were interviewed by
Yeah.
someone on the transition team, so it wasn't like they submitted an anonymous complaint. Somebody knew who they were,
Sure.
Okay.
But,
So that's-
but what I'm
but
saying,
their names weren't released or anything.
but what
like
I'm saying is information like that, I don't believe had a delay getting to the governor. The governor made a clear decision in the beginning to keep General Leon Guerrero.
that. Right.
The shift was made and that information came out. I did 2 transition reports during my time. I'm very proud of them, and I'm glad they haven't been questioned because they were put together by professionals and they were really well done.
So what are
When-
you saying about this transition report?
No, what I'm saying is the way this stuff was handled really had started, in my opinion, the undercurrent of what's going on there now. So then you have the situation where you have the current general, and now you have a question even in the beginning about the brass and what level she held to get there. The next step you have is you have now individuals who are unappreciative and don't think that proper channels were put in place to put in current middle level management.
One thing I got to touch
It's
on
snowballing.
in that letter is
and-
that they said that there was a Office of Complex Investigations, National Guard Bureau Command Climate Survey that was done recently, and this letter seems to say that if that survey is released, that it's going to put all those problems they said were prevalent under General Roderick Leon Guerrero squarely at the feet of Adjutant General Agagi.
See, here's where I'm going back to communications.
Right.
This better not, in my opinion, be handled at the level of the governor. It should be shifted to the guard and said, your command staff, your brass from top to bottom is going to address the accusations being brought out, even though it's anonymous, to make it abundantly clear that you're operating completely above board and within the regulations. If they do that and do it quick, they could show that they have control of the situation. Just my opinion.
Senator?
I've got a very unique perch to be able to see this, and just from my observation, I live right outside of the gate.
I know, yeah.
Okay, their facility, and there's not a whole lot of activity. And I've noticed that. I even commented to some other people that I was talking about. I said, "You guys don't do much anymore in there. What's going on?" And so they said, "Well, things have changed." And I'm like, "Okay," and I've taken it to be okay.
So not like, hey, things have changed, more like, yeah, things have changed.
Yeah. Okay. So, and Chris is right. I think that this is at a level because of their responsibility. This is at a level that can have, first off, what's happening today can have overarching effects and to be effect for a very
Correct.
long time. And it could take a longer time to fix.
Correct.
If there is an issue today, fix it now.
Right.
But
Right.
do this in a with the organization that's already
right.
steeped with tradition back by
Right.
many, many years.
You know what I find interesting is that on the letters, so DOC came out with some letters, then it was obvious in the oversight hearing that Director Brennan, former Director Brennan, had said that, yeah, there are some employees who won't even look at me, who won't even talk to me. And so I'm thinking with this guard letter, if I was the Adjutant General, first thing I'm going to do is call, I don't know what the military term for it was, let's get everyone in the cafeteria.
Captain's mast.
Yeah, yeah. So get everyone, sit them down, read the letter, and let's say, hey, whatever you want to say, we leave it here, or maybe they don't want to say it. You know, do something to kind of show that it doesn't have to get to the governor's level, right? But again, I feel like the guardsmen and women feel like maybe they can't exhaust all the options that are supposed to be available because I mean.